Karen Craigie's got a brand new single out. The album is called Mountains of Gold and the new single is called Little Heartbreaker. Karen, it's fair to say that this album has done great things for you so far.
I've been so happy about it, so pleased. It's been a really wonderful experience. This at the moment will be the last single to come off this album before I start working on some new material. So I've got quite high hopes and it's been a really great experience overall.
What's the best experience that's come out of it?
Look, I've just enjoyed having the opportunity to speak to lots of wonderful people such as yourself and just to really get it out there. I recorded this album a few years ago now, so it's been sitting with me for such a long time. The achievement for me is really just that I was able to get it out to the world after having it in the bag for a while. That's really been the highlight.
You just mentioned the new album, so does that mean that you've already got songs ready for it or you still have some to finish for the new album?
I've got some new material. I'm hoping maybe one day it will develop itself into an album, but it takes a little while for me, Tracy. It really is a bit of a slow burn. I have a couple of new songs and I have an opportunity to do some writing a little bit later in the year with the wonderful Alan Caswell, which I'm looking forward to, and really hoping that might lead to some great tunes. Keep my fingers crossed, I think, and hope that it will produce an album within the next couple of years.
So is this the first co-write you'll be doing with someone?
No, I've co-written lots of songs in the past, but I'm not traditionally a country music person, so I've never really co-written country music with anyone. So it will be interesting to see how that goes, and I'm certainly very open to learning a lot from anyone really. So looking forward to that.
You mentioned this album had been in the bag for some time. You've released the singles off of it. You're about to go back in the studio, do it all again. What's the one piece of advice that you can give yourself, a message of hindsight that you've been able to get?
I think I need to be a little bit more open to just making on-the-spot changes. I certainly tend to really try and plan well in advance. Invariably, I get to the point where I'm about to record something and then I throw it all out and start again, and that is always what happens. And I think it's not going to happen this time, but it always happens that way. I always get right to the line when I'm just about to go into the studio with a whole bunch of songs, and it's usually only one or two that will make it into the final cut at the end of it, and everything will be rewritten at the last minute. And that's kind of the way that I've always been. I really like the pressure of the last minute, and things tend to happen, very differently when you're under a little bit of pressure and it has to be done. Yeah, just have a bit of a different perspective on that, I think.
Well, as you mentioned, this is the third single off this album. So for the listeners out there that do like what they've heard so far from Karen Craigie, do yourself a favour and buy the entire album and have a listen to every single song, because some of the songs that you just mentioned there, Karen, you might get to the studio and think, oh, I'm not quite sure. And that's the same with an album. Some people might think, oh, I like tracks 1 and 4, not sure about 5, and then all of a sudden they haven't heard track, so say number 8 or something, and fall in love with you all over again. So it's really good to be able to grab a hold of the whole CD and listen to every single track on there. Yeah. So we're going to play Little Heartbreaker. So before we do that, we'd like to hear a little bit of the background behind that one.
I think this is one of those songs that did make it, and it was with me for some time. I had the Little Heartbreaker concept in my head even before I had an idea for what the song would be about. So I had those lyrics floating around my head, Little Heartbreaker, and then I kind of, attached it to people from the past, both my own experiences and other people's experiences. And then I was at a swimming pool in Sydney with my son one summer's day a couple of years back, and suddenly I was just writing the whole song and it came out really quickly, and from then on it kind of stuck. It just all fit together. So it's pieces of my own and pieces of other people's experience. But I hope everyone can relate to this song, because everyone knows a fake person who is able to just pull the wool over other people's eyes and kind of sucker people in. And you don't want to fall for that kind of person. And this song is really about that.
Well, it's easy to track down Karen Craigie. You can do it on all of the social media. The album's called Mountains of Gold, and we're going to play the single now. It's called Little Heartbreaker.